Today we're going to talk about web monetization and how two companies are using blockchain to disrupt the more than $72 billion internet advertising machine. The two companies, Coil and Brave, two distinctly different companies with a shared common goal, and that's to put the ad revenue dollars back into the hands of the users and the content providers. This is Jeff with the HODL Report. Join me on today's video as we explore a $72 billion industry being disrupted by the blockchain, being disrupted by Coil and Brave. Before I get started, just a quick disclaimer. The content provided on this video is not financial advice. Any opinions expressed are strictly my own opinions, unless, of course, I'm reading from someone's website, article, or blog. I'm not a financial advisor or providing financial advice, but if I am going to be giving you any advice, then let it be this. Do your own research. Invest only what you can afford to lose. Invest only in what you're comfortable investing in. And don't buy or sell based on the FUD or FOMO that's spread online. And with that, let's get started with today's video. Now, I do see value in both the company models, in both Brave and in Coil. Now, having direct competition between the two, I believe, is a good thing that will truly advance this technology to compete against the traditional $72 billion online ad mega machine that's currently dominated by the likes of Google, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, I've heard a lot of talk about competition in this space against Swift, and that others might rise up against and try to compete against Ripple, try to compete against XRP. But I just wanted to read a quote that I think it rings true for me in everything that I've done, and I really hope that it means something to you as well. Now, this is something that I heard. It was an interview that Drew Houston was giving, I think, on CNBC or another one. And as he was talking, I quickly grabbed this quote. He said, "If you don't have competition, you're not doing something important." So I think that is one. Those are really probably the most important words that you can hear when you're going into business. And many times people are afraid of competition, and in reality, you should be embracing competition because, again, just like Drew Houston had said, if there isn't competition, you're not doing something important, and nobody really cares about what's going on in that space. So I think that is very, very important, and it was very well said. So now let's start and really analyze Brave and Coil. So Brave developed as a browser first and foremost. So their initial intent as you look at Brave, it's all about the browser. They're promoting the browser. It's all about the built-in features that give you tools to block ads, all those pesky ads that bother you while you're browsing the internet, while you're on YouTube, or what have you. Really, as you look at the back-end description of Brave, to me anyways, it seems like the secondary feature of Brave is to really support the content providers with this Brave-centric monetary compensation model through their BAT token. This would be for user contributions and content providers. So it's done by donation. So as you're on as you're using the web, the Brave browser, you will give X amount of dollars, and you'll say, I want to contribute, I don't know, $5, $10 a month, and Brave will automatically distribute it. But I believe that you can even set your priorities that you want to give X amount to, I don't know, a certain content provider, and then you divvy it up accordingly. So I believe that you will have that kind of capability. Now, Coil, on the other hand, and there's again, I believe they're both functioning in the same space. I think, we have two companies fighting for this $72 billion industry to really disrupt it. But there are some major differences between the two. Again, Brave is focused on their browser. Coil, on the other hand, really developed with the primary purpose of disrupting the web, disrupting the monetization, the web monetization. So I think that's an important fact that, again, Brave was focused on browsing without ads, browsing in the most secure way possible, and then also being able to provide a form of monetary compensation, whereas Coil's main focus was how do we monetize the web and disrupt how everything is currently being done. So I think that's a big distinction. So this is really, again, to impact how every user interacts with websites, how web content or content providers, developers, how they'll monetarily gain from their content. For the users, this is based on what I've read so far from Coil and their initial intention. It looks like there's a per month reoccurring amount that might start as low as $5. So basically a subscription or a membership format. So it did say somewhere on their website that there's a possibility of that membership increasing or offering maybe different levels of membership. We really have to remember that we're currently in the very infancy of this web-altering technology concept with both Brave and Coil. And again, that's the disruption of this $72 billion, it's a mega industry focused on online advertising. Now, both of them are basically just getting started. They're getting ready to take on, again, the likes of Google and Facebook and Twitter and Yahoo. So although we'll look at some of their current capabilities and features, obviously both of them are going to develop significantly as we move through the end of this year and go into the next year, and maybe their 5-year plan 5 years from now, it'll be drastically different than what we see in front of us today. But it's much more important that we look at the imminent growth potential right now. What are they doing right now to disrupt this industry, and what kind of market changing features are they both offering? Now, I truly believe that it's much more important that if you believe in the base concept of this technology behind Brave and Coil, that really if you're a big fan of Ripple, you're a big fan of XRP, I get it, I am too, let's support Coil. On the other hand, I'm a big fan of the technology, and I think what Brave is offering is also very, very significant because it's game changing. They're both doing it slightly differently. They both have a slightly different approach, but they're both very, very important, and we're going to get into that in a little bit as we try to go through and really to break it down and try to simplify the differences. But, you know, again, if you're going to choose one side or the other, I really think that you shouldn't, because the long-term picture is much bigger than you know, trying to stay, oh, I'm pumped up about Brave right now, or I'm pumped up about Coil right now, because it's about the bigger competition of what the two companies are up against. So really, I don't believe that now is the time to try to undermine one over the other, but it's time to embrace both of them as partners in competition against each other. Yes, as I stated in the beginning, competition is important, but really more than that, we have to look at both Brave and Coil as beacons of this shifting tide away from the current web monetary scheme of large advertisement sellers that are making billions of dollars at the expense of the users, at the expense of the content providers. Now with Coil and with Brave, we're going to see a transition of control back into the hands of the users and the content providers. Now, in Brave's words from their website, Brave is the best way for users and publishers to stay in sync is through an anonymous and automated contribution platform, and that's Brave. Activate Brave payments and give a little back to the sites you frequent most. Help fund the content you love, even when you block ads. Browsing the web with Brave is free. With Brave payments activated, you can support the content creators you love. Use Brave payments to choose a contribution amount that works for you, from a few dollars a month on up, to be divided among your favorite sites and content creators. Coil will work seamlessly in the background regardless if you're using Chrome, Brave, Safari, Firefox, or any other browser of your choice. Now, Coil in their own words, how does it work? Users sign up for Coil and pay a fixed monthly subscription. When they visit a supported website, we donate to the creator on their behalf. So it's all happening seamlessly in the background. Now, how is Coil different from other services? Coil uses an open API called web monetization in order to pay sites in real time. This way, sites can securely provide rewards to any users who have web monetization enabled, creating a self-sustaining economy. Okay, so before we end, let's go back and let's summarize all of this now. So Brave. Brave is a browser that incorporates a web monetizing feature for those who use the Brave browser. Thereby, they're blocking ads that normally provide the monetary compensation to the content providers via their websites or YouTube. By blocking the ads, Brave has found a way to now connect the users and the content creators as long as they're using, you got it, the Brave browser. And they're registered with funds in their account to pay the content providers. So right now, again, I don't have any statistics or numbers on how many people are actually filling their coffers on Brave that will pay out the content providers. Now, Coil has developed an entire web monetization process that is completely 100% browser agnostic, so it interfaces with all browsers, and essentially is building the foundation for changing the way monetary compensation is provided across the web entirely. So not just via one browser. They're not trying to sell you on their browser. They're really providing the web monetization that happens in the background, whether you know it's happening or not. But once you do sign up for their program, obviously you have to be part of the program to make it happen. I'm sure there's a way eventually to where the users won't have to engage in any form of subscription model to monetize the website, and I'm sure they'll find a way to start working with some of these ad providers to make this even more robust, because at the end of the day, they need to cut into and take advantage of the $72 billion online marketing industry. So you can't just say, well, we're connecting the individuals, the users, with the content creators. We need to really see that there's a solution to bring all of those $72 billion away from the guys that are currently controlling it, or at least a percentage of it away from them, and think about how much of every single dollar that's spent online, the percentage that's kept by those who are in charge of it. So I think that's an important aspect as well. The payout is relatively small in comparison to what they're taking in. So now that's going to be flipped upside down. Now again, I truly believe that having two platforms out there vying for a spot on the throne of online monetization is actually a very good thing. It's good to have competition. Where there's competition, it truly brings out the best in both parties. They're going to fight to be the best. But it's also very important to remember that the two are competing against each other, are actually, as they compete for their space of primacy in this $72 billion industry against the big guys, they're both really legitimizing their efforts in taking on the big guys. Before we wrap up, let's analyze the growth potential and the direction that each of these companies can take in the long run. So Brave as a browser-based payment monetization platform, to me, is really limited only to those who are going to be using the Brave browser and choose to participate in the monetization. So it may be easier to spread the word through one browser because you pretty much have captivated eyes in Brave who are using their system. But there's really no currently available statistics to show how many of the 4 million users are part of the monetization process. And even though they do grow, and let's say their percentage was 100%, they're still limited to the number of users that are going to be on Brave. So where Coil differs from that, and I think this is really where they have also really more growth potential. Not to say that what Brave can accomplish is insignificant, because I believe it's extremely significant what they can accomplish. But Coil, being browser agnostic, has future opportunity to connect again to every browser, not be tied to their own browser for their own success. They can really leverage the browsers of Bing, of Chrome, of Safari, and many of the others that are available. Coil can also be embedded or can embed its platform into web extensions and APIs for further expansion of its own web monetization ecosystem. So I believe that when you go browser agnostic, there's a lot more potential than when you're focused only in your own browser. So that's it. If you like today's video, please give a thumbs up. If you like the content we're providing, subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll see you on our next video, and keep on hodling your crypto.